Warning, you've been warned. What happens next is on you. These are not just stories, they are real, witnessed by those who never wanted to believe but had no choice. Cases so terrifying that even hardened investigators refused to return. Some walked away, shaken. Others never walked away at all. Some say that just hearing these stories can be enough to invite something into your life. A flicker in the corner of your eye, a whisper in the silence, a feeling that you are not alone. If you're still here, it means you've already taken the first step. There's no turning back now. But before we begin, check your surroundings. Are you truly alone? Are you sure? Because once these stories enter your mind, they don't leave. If you dare to continue, prove it. Hit subscribe, like this video, and tell us in the comments, do you believe in the supernatural? Or are you about to find out the hard way? Take a deep breath. We're about to begin. The disappearance of David Lang, the man who vanished into thin air. The afternoon sun bathed the rolling Tennessee farmland in gold, casting long shadows across the fields. It was September 23rd, 1880, and the Lang family was gathered outside their farmhouse near Gallatin. David Lang, a respected farmer, stood just a few yards from his wife and children, waving at an approaching horse-drawn buggy carrying his friend, Judge Augustus Peck. And then, it happened. In full view of his family and the judge, David Lang vanished. 1 second he was standing there. The next, he was gone. No sound, no struggle, no puff of smoke, just empty space where a man had been. His wife, frantic, ran to the spot, expecting to find a hidden hole in the ground, a trick of the light, something to explain the impossible. But there was nothing. The earth was solid, the grass undisturbed. Days turned into weeks. No trace of David was ever found. The ground was searched, plowed, even dug up. Nothing. It was as if the earth had swallowed him whole. Months later, his children claimed to hear his voice. Faint, distant, calling for help. They ran to the spot where he vanished, but the sound faded, as if drifting into some unseen dimension. Some say David Lang slipped through a portal, a tear in reality. Others believe he was pulled into another realm by forces unknown. But one fact remains. He was never seen again. What do you think happened to David Lang? A glitch in reality, a supernatural force at work, or something even more terrifying? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you dare. The case of Oliver Lurch, the boy who screamed and vanished. It was Christmas Eve, 1890. Snow blanketed the ground outside the Lurch family farmhouse in South Bend, Indiana. Inside, laughter and the warm glow of lanterns filled the home. Among the guests was 20-year-old Oliver Lurch, a strong and cheerful young man who decided to step outside for a moment, perhaps to fetch water from the well or simply breathe in the crisp winter air. And then, the screaming began. "Help! Help me!" The voices inside the house froze. The guests rushed to the door, their breath steaming in the cold. Oliver's screams echoed across the snowy fields, desperate, terrified. But no one could see him. His father and the others ran outside, following the fading voice into the open field. There, Oliver's footprints marked the untouched snow, leading straight ahead. And then, they stopped. The last footprint stood alone in the snow, nothing ahead, no return tracks, just an eerie silence where his voice had once been. They searched frantically. No holes, no thin ice, no place he could have fallen. Only an empty field and the chilling realization that Oliver Lurch had vanished into nothingness. The townspeople scoured the area for days, but there was no trace of Oliver, no body, no sign of a struggle, only the lingering whispers of his last, desperate cries. Some say they still hear his voice carried on the wind, pleading for help from a place beyond our understanding. What happened to Oliver Lurch? Was he taken by an unseen force? Did he slip between dimensions? Or was something waiting for him in the dark that night? Tell us what you believe in the comments, but be careful. If you ever hear a voice calling for help from nowhere, would you answer? The mysterious vanishing of Ambrose Bierce, the writer who predicted his own fate. Ambrose Bierce was no ordinary man. A Civil War veteran, journalist, and master of the macabre, he wrote chilling tales about death, the supernatural, and mysterious disappearances. But what made his story truly terrifying was that he became one of his own eerie legends. In 1913, at the age of 71, Bierce left Washington, D.C., embarking on a journey across the United States. He told friends he was heading to Mexico, where revolution was raging. His final known letter, sent in December of that year, contained a cryptic message. As to me, I leave here tomorrow for an unknown destination. And then, he was never seen again. There were rumors. Some claimed he had joined Pancho Villa's rebel army and was executed. Others whispered that he had staged his own death, vanishing into obscurity. But the strangest theory, that Bierce had always known his fate. His writings were filled with eerily prophetic themes, people slipping into nothingness, trapped between realities. In one of his last known works, The Difficulty of Crossing a Field, a man steps onto a road and simply vanishes. Did Bierce somehow predict his own disappearance? Did he find something, or did something find him? To this day, no body, no grave, and no definitive proof of his fate exist. Just his chilling words and the eerie silence that followed his final steps. What do you think happened to Ambrose Bierce? Did he fall victim to war, or did he step beyond the veil of reality, just like the characters in his stories? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, if you dare. The lost colony of Roanoke, the vanishing that still haunts history. In 1587, over 100 English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island, eager to build a new life in the New World. Led by John White, they established a colony along the wild, untamed shores of what is now North Carolina. But when White left for England to gather supplies and returned 3 years later, he found nothing but silence. The settlement was abandoned. No bodies, no signs of a struggle, just empty buildings, weathered by time and the elements. It was as if the entire colony had simply vanished into thin air. The only clue? A single word carved into a wooden post. Croatoan. It was the name of a nearby island, home to a Native American tribe. But when White and his men searched the area, they found no trace of the missing colonists. No graves, no messages, no answers. Over the centuries, theories have swirled. Did they integrate with the Croatoan tribe? Were they wiped out by war or disease? Or did something far more sinister claim them? Some whisper of supernatural forces, ancient curses, or even alien abduction. But the scariest part, the word Croatoan has appeared in other strange disappearances. It was allegedly found in Edgar Allan Poe's belongings before his unexplained death, written in the journal of a shipwrecked vessel whose crew was never found, and even scrawled on the wall of a patient's room at a mental asylum before they vanished without a trace. Was Roanoke the first sign of something much bigger, something lurking in the shadows of history? What do you think happened to the lost colonists? Did they escape, or were they taken by something beyond human understanding? Let us know your theory in the comments. Before you disappear too, the strange case of Henry Hudson's crew, swallowed by the supernatural fog. In 1611, legendary explorer Henry Hudson found himself trapped in the icy waters of what is now Hudson Bay. His crew, desperate and starving, mutinied, forcing Hudson, his teenage son, and a handful of loyal men onto a small boat, casting them adrift into the endless Arctic expanse. No one ever saw Hudson again. But what happened to the mutineers who betrayed him? That mystery is even darker. As the surviving crew attempted to navigate back to civilization, they reportedly sailed into a dense, unnatural fog, a mist so thick that even the daylight seemed swallowed whole. Strange whispers carried on the wind, and shadowy figures were said to move just beyond sight. Days later, a rescue ship found the vessel. The crew should have been on board, but the ship was completely empty. No bodies, no signs of a struggle, no tracks leading off the ship. It was as if they had simply walked into the mist and never returned. Some believe the ghosts of Hudson and his men took revenge, pulling the mutineers into the same watery grave they had doomed their captain to. Others claim a supernatural force in the Arctic took them, perhaps vengeful spirits, a time slip, or something even more terrifying lurking within the endless ice. What do you think happened? Did the mist conceal something sinister, or did Henry Hudson's ghost return for revenge? Let us know your theory in the comments, if you dare. The missing Sodder children vanished without a trace from a burning home. On Christmas Eve, 1945, the Sodder family home in Fayetteville, West Virginia, erupted into flames. Parents George and Jenny Sodder managed to escape with 4 of their children, but 5 of their kids never made it out. Or so it seemed. As the fire raged, George tried desperately to save them, but his ladder was missing, his trucks wouldn't start, and the phone lines had been cut. The house burned to the ground, and yet, when the ashes cooled, there were no remains. Not a single bone, not a trace of their 5 missing children. Authorities claimed the fire had cremated their bodies completely, but experts later debunked this theory. Even the hottest house fires leave some remains. Then came the disturbing clues. A witness claimed to have seen the children peering from a passing car as the fire blazed. A stranger had threatened George just weeks before, warning him that his house would go up in flames. A photo arrived years later, allegedly showing one of the missing children, grown up. On the back, a chilling message. Louis Sodder. I love Brother Frankie. Elil boys. A 90132 or 35 inches. Had the children been kidnapped under the cover of fire? Were they taken by someone who wanted revenge against the Sodder family? Or did something even stranger happen that night? The case remains unsolved to this day. What do you think happened to the Sodder children? Did they perish in the fire, or were they stolen away in the dead of night? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. The Bennington Triangle Disappearances, the cursed land that swallows people. Hole deep in the Green Mountains of Vermont, there is a place where people vanish without a trace, a place known as the Bennington Triangle. Between 1945 and 1950, at least 5 people disappeared here under bizarre and unexplainable circumstances. The vanishings begin. It started with Mitty Rivers, a 74-year-old hunting guide who knew the mountains better than anyone. One afternoon, he was leading a group through the woods. As they walked, Rivers moved just ahead. Then he was gone. No sound, no struggle. A massive search turned up only a single rifle cartridge in a stream, as if he had simply melted into the forest. A year later, on December 1st, 1946, college student Paula Weldon went for a hike on the long trail. Witnesses saw her walking the path, smiling and enjoying the day. But when she reached a bend in the trail, she vanished into thin air. No body, no footprints, no evidence of a struggle. Then, in 1949, war veteran James Tetford boarded a crowded bus heading toward Bennington. He was seen sleeping in his seat as the bus approached his stop. When the bus arrived, however, Tetford was gone, his luggage still neatly packed in the overhead rack. He had disappeared mid-ride in full view of other passengers. The following year, 8-year-old Paul Jepson was playing near a truck while his mother tended to pigs. She turned away for just a moment. When she looked back, he was gone. Bloodhounds followed his scent to the very spot where Paula Weldon had disappeared. Then came the most terrifying case of all. On October 12, 1950, experienced hiker Frida Langer set out on a short hike with her cousin. She slipped and fell into a stream and told him she would run back to camp for dry clothes. But when she got there, no one ever saw her again. Her body was found 7 months later in a field that had already been searched multiple times. The cause of death? Impossible to determine. Many believe the Bennington Triangle is a cursed land, a place where forces beyond our understanding claim those who wander too deep. Was it a serial killer, a secret government cover-up, or something not of this world? Why do people vanish in the Bennington Triangle? And if you found yourself lost in those woods, do you think you'd make it out? The vanishing of Brandon Swanson. His last words. Oh shit. Then, silence. It was a calm spring night on May 14, 2008, when Brandon Swanson, a 19-year-old college student, mysteriously vanished, leaving behind only a cryptic final phone call and a chilling silence that has never been broken. A wrong turn into the unknown. Brandon had just finished celebrating the end of the semester with friends in Canby, Minnesota. Around midnight, he got into his green Chevy Lumina and started the drive home to Marshall, Minnesota, a trip that should have been only 30 minutes. But Brandon never made it. At 1:54 a.m., his parents received a frantic phone call. His car had veered off a gravel road into a ditch, but he was unharmed. He told them he was near the town of Lind and needed a ride home. They drove out immediately, keeping him on the phone as they searched. But there was one problem. Brandon wasn't there. A call that ends in terror. For nearly an hour, Brandon and his father kept talking on the phone as he walked toward the lights of a distant town. He described passing fences, gravel roads, and running water. Then, at 2:30 a.m., in the middle of their conversation, Brandon suddenly shouted in terror, "Oh shit!" The call cut off. His parents tried calling back over and over, but he never answered. A search that led nowhere. By dawn, police launched a massive search operation. They found his abandoned car, but it was nowhere near Lind. In fact, it was 25 miles away, near the tiny town of Taunton. Even more disturbing. Cadaver dogs tracked his scent to the edge of the Yellow Medicine River, but no signs of him were ever found. No footprints, no clothing, no body. Did he drown in the river? Was he abducted? Or did he stumble upon something he was never meant to see? Brandon Swanson was never seen again. His body was never found. And his final terrified words still haunt those who heard them. If you were the last person to hear someone alive before they vanished into nothingness, would you ever be able to sleep again? The Lake Anjikuni mystery. An entire village disappeared overnight, leaving meals still warm. In the remote wilderness of Canada, where the bitter cold grips the land and silence stretches for miles, there lies a chilling mystery that has baffled investigators for nearly a century. A village full of people simply vanished. A journey into the unknown. In November 1930, Joe LaBelle, a seasoned fur trapper, was making his way through the frozen landscape near Lake Anjikuni, a secluded spot in Nunavut, Canada. He had visited a small Inuit village there before, where families welcomed him with warm fires and friendly conversations. But this time, as he approached the settlement, an eerie silence greeted him. The usual sounds of chopping wood, children laughing, and dogs barking were gone. The village, once full of life, now stood empty. The vanished souls. Joe cautiously entered the first hut. A pot of stew still simmered over the fire. Freshly sewn clothes lay folded on a bed. It was as if the villagers had just stepped out, but never returned. He checked every single dwelling. They were all the same, empty, abandoned in an instant. There were no signs of struggle, no blood, no footprints leading away. The most disturbing discovery. The village's graveyard had been dug up. Every grave was empty, as if someone or something had stolen the dead. Unanswered questions. Label ran to the nearest telegraph office, alerting the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. When authorities arrived, they confirmed it. Every single person in the village, men, women, and children, had disappeared. Adding to the horror, they discovered the village sled dogs had starved to death, still tied to their posts, as if their owners had vanished without warning. Local Inuit hunters later reported something even stranger. On the night of the disappearance, they claimed to have seen a glowing blue light in the sky, unlike anything they had ever witnessed. What happened to the Lake Anjikuni villagers? Did they fall victim to a mass abduction by humans or something not of this world? Or did they walk willingly into the unknown, drawn by an unseen force? Would you dare to sleep in an abandoned village, knowing that everyone before you vanished into nothingness? The case of Zeb Quinn, a young man who left behind a cryptic clue, his car with a live puppy inside. Some disappearances leave behind no clues at all. Others leave behind just enough to drive investigators mad. The case of Zeb Quinn is one of those, a vanishing wrapped in a mystery, buried under deception, and haunted by a single chilling clue. A normal night turns into a nightmare. On the night of January 2nd, 2000, Zeb Quinn, an ambitious 18-year-old from Asheville, North Carolina, clocked out from his shift at a local Walmart. He had plans to meet his friend, Robert Owens, to check out a new car he was thinking of buying. Surveillance footage shows Zeb and Robert stopping at a gas station, chatting like normal. Then, suddenly, Zeb seems distressed. He gestures wildly, then rushes to his car and speeds away. That was the last time anyone saw him. The bizarre clue. 2 days later, Zeb's car was found abandoned in a parking lot, its doors locked. Inside was something truly bizarre, a live puppy sitting on the front seat. On the rear windshield, someone had drawn lips in lipstick, as if leaving a message only certain eyes could understand. Zeb's keys, wallet, and work uniform were missing. But there were no signs of struggle, no blood, no evidence of where he could have gone. The web of lies. When questioned, Robert Owens, Zeb's last known companion, gave contradictory stories. At first, he claimed Zeb had received a mysterious phone call, panicked, and sped off. But then, things got darker. Authorities discovered that hours after Zeb vanished, someone used his bank card to withdraw money. Security footage revealed Robert Owens was the one making the withdrawal, but he claimed Zeb had told him to do it. Then, just days later, Robert Owens was hospitalized with injuries he claimed were from a car accident. But no accident reports existed. The wounds looked intentional, like a struggle, a case. With no ending for years, Zeb Quinn remained missing, with no clear answers, until 2015, when Robert Owens was arrested for an unrelated murder. Suddenly, authorities reopened the case and charged Owens with Zeb's murder. But here's the chilling part. Zeb's body was never found. Owens pleaded guilty in 2022, admitting that he helped cover up Zeb's death, but refused to say where the body was. The case remains half solved, half a nightmare, and the cryptic puppy left in Zeb's car remains an eerie mystery. Was it a message, a warning, or a twisted joke from a killer? And the biggest question of all, where is Zeb Quinn? What do you think happened to him? You've heard the stories. You've seen the patterns. Some mysteries are left unsolved, but that doesn't mean they can't be understood. So now it's your turn. What do you think happened? Could there be a missing detail, a hidden connection, something that only the sharpest minds will catch? Drop your theories below. Someone out there might be thinking the same thing. Or maybe, just maybe, your insight will change everything. And if you feel like these stories should never be forgotten, you know what to do. Because the deeper you go, the more you'll uncover.